Hey guys, it's Kevin, and there's going to be another classic movie review, and this movie I'm going to be reviewing. I was very hesitant about watching this movie. I've always been interested in it, but I was very hesitant about it. And that's because this movie is considered the single weirdest movie of all time, and that right there intrigued me, but also made me worried, because if you guys know me, you know that I don't really like weird movies. I usually go into weird movies thinking I don't think I'm gonna like this, but I end up usually loving it, and I wasn't really sure how I was gonna think of this film. And that movie is the 1977 surreal horror drama Eraserhead. Now, Eraserhead is a movie that, as I said, I definitely want to see, but I heard everyone say that if you watch this movie, it is the weirdest film you're ever gonna watch, and also, but I really want to see, because for a couple of reasons. I also was actually recommended this film last year when I did Classic Movie Reviews. After I finished, people said I need to watch more David Lynch films, and I've actually been really interested in David Lynch. He has a very distinct style, and I was very interested in seeing how this movie is going to be, and I wanted this to be my first movie from him, because I heard if this is your first movie from David Lynch, you basically know what his style is for the rest of his movies, and after watching this film, is this the single weirdest film of all time? Fuck yes! Seriously, this movie is fucking weird. However, that does not mean that this movie is not great. In fact, I would consider this movie a masterpiece, because I think Eraserhead is a masterpiece, okay? Dare I say it, I think this movie's a masterpiece. I may sound like a crazy person, but I think it's a masterpiece, and honestly, guys, I have a good analysis for this movie. I didn't think I'd have a good analysis, but I have a good analysis for this movie that I'm definitely going to talk about. But first, I really want to get to the plot of Eraserhead, which, I think is actually a very intriguing plot, and the thing is with this movie, though, is that it's not your regularly structured movie. This is not a movie that has a lot of dialogue. This is not a movie that has a consistent... It does have a consistent plot, but there are a lot of things that happen that don't really make a lot of sense. I'm going to talk about why that is when we get to my analysis. But first, let's get to the plot of this movie. Basically, this movie is about this guy named Henry Spencer. He basically is this really lonely man. You see that he's really not happy with himself, and he's not able to the direction his life is living. And basically, he stopped outside his apartment from this nameless girl, only known as the beautiful girl across the hall, which I think is actually really cool that that's her name. And she basically informs him that his girlfriend, Mary, has invited him to dinner with his family, and so he decides to go to her, this dinner with her family, only to reveal that basically she's pregnant, and not only is she pregnant, but she has this lizard baby that won't stop crying, and basically they have to do whatever they can to take care of it, get it to stop crying, and they have to try not to lose their sanity, and that's basically a plot of Eraserhead. Now, at the surface, that sounds like a really weird plot, and when I heard the plot, I'm like, that's really weird overall. But because of what this movie is definitely trying to show, I know why, the child's lizard baby and things like that. I'll explain all that. But I really want to talk about some things that I loved about this movie, which, first, I want to talk about the acting. Okay. I know what you guys are going to say. This is not acting. Well, this isn't your regular kind of acting. This isn't the kind of acting that, is Oscar-worthy. That's not the kind of acting. Honestly, this acting probably is Oscar-worthy, but it's not that kind of acting, because there's actually not a lot of dialogue in this movie. I could probably say there's about 20 minutes of dialogue in this movie. There's not a lot, because there's a lot of scenes of just things happening, and it's a lot more of an observed kind of movie. In fact, I wouldn't even consider this a regular movie. This movie is an experience. It's something that you need to experience, and Jack Nance, as Henry Spencer, had this part down perfectly. He perfectly played the role of this man that really has no direction in his life and is just really lonely overall. And I really thought that he did a great job. I mean, you could see how dedicated he was to this part, and I thought he did a great job of that. As was Charlotte Stewart as Mary X. She was really good as well. And I mean, one of the things I love about this movie is that every character in this movie is very, very weird, but they embraced it, and they stayed dedicated to it. They didn't leave the project. They weren't weirded out by it. You see that they stayed committed to this film, and they stayed dedicated to it, and that's something that's very hard to do. When you have a movie like this, it's very hard to stay dedicated to it, but they stayed dedicated, and they are giving great performances here, some amazing performances, and I thought that the acting overall was really, really good. Her mother, who pretty much is crazy, Janine Bates, she did a really great job. I thought the beautiful girl from across the hall, Judith Anna Roberts, did a great job. Everyone did a great job in this movie. Definitely. I thought all the acting was really good. And I just thought, Jack Nance obviously steals the show. He's the one that's in most of this movie, and he does a fantastic job because he's actually reacting the way we would react to it. He doesn't know what's going on. He has no idea what to do about any of this, and I loved his reactions to things because the weirder the movie gets, the more interested you are in the story, and that's really due to David Lynch's directing, which is unlike anything I've ever seen before, honestly. I was told that he has a very distinct style of directing, and I have to say that he really does. I've never seen any other movie directed like this. The only other movie I can think of that's somewhat like this is Under the Skin. That is the only movie I've seen that's somewhat like this, and even that is nothing compared to this. His style is so stylized and so, like, bleak. I mean, this movie's in black and white. That's how dark it is, and he did a really great job directing this movie. I mean, the whole movie, you're just thinking, what the fuck am I watching? But you're so intrigued by it. That's the thing, is that because this movie is so weird, that's what keeps you hooked. That's what kept me hooked the entire movie. The whole time, I'm just like, what the hell am I watching? I need to know more of what's going on here, and I thought his directing was just fantastic in that way. It's so different. There's nothing like this. There's no movie you can see that's as weird as Eraserhead. There's nothing like it, and I think he did a great job with his directing. It's, as I said, a very distinct style, but he did a very good job doing that. The screenplay here, as I said, there's barely any dialogue, so how the hell is it a good screenplay? This screenplay is not about the dialogue. It's about what's going on in the movie. It's about the weirdness of the film. The stuff that happens in the movie, you don't see coming. There's not a single thing you can predict in this movie that's going to happen. And the reveals in this movie are really shocking. And there's some really disturbing stuff, especially in the second half of this movie. The last half of this movie, it gets extremely disturbing. And I think he did a great job with that. And I definitely want to check out some more David Lynch movies, because if this is the kind of director that he is, that very meticulously directs things, I mean, every single shot is a masterpiece. Every single shot, it just gets weirder and weirder. I mean, we're talking about a movie where there's a girl inside a radiator that sings to him. Or there's so much I want to say. There's a lizard baby, for crying out loud. But it all just works, and the writing is just so weird and different, and it got me hooked into the movie. The cinematography here is some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. Remember, this is all in black and white, and it was perfectly executed the way they handled it. It was weird, it's different, you know what's going on, and because it was in black and white, I think that's what made it weirder. If this had been in color, it would not have been as weird because we would have been able to see what's going on. Having it in black and white, and it's even shot like an older movie. It's not shot like, a movie from 1977. It's shot like an older movie, and by doing that, it just gives us the feel of what's going on here, and it looks more mysterious and more bleak, and it makes us more interested, and I really love the way they did that with the cinematography. Definitely something I loved. The editing here is great as well. The editing is not your normally structured movie either. The editing is meticulously edited by David Lynch. He did everything. He did the cinematography, he did the editing. There's basically no score to this movie. When there is a score, it's very bleak and disturbing, but there's really no score to this movie whatsoever, and that's really all I can say for my review, because if I say anything else, I'm going to spoil this movie, and I don't want to do that. So the rest of this video is going to be a very extensive analysis. Now, I could be completely wrong here. I just want to tell you guys this. Don't think I'm an idiot. Don't think I'm an idiot. You guys, if you guys have not seen this film, you're going to think he is the biggest idiot. He has no idea what he's talking about. What the hell are you saying? Go watch this movie. It's not the easiest thing to explain, but I think I have at least somewhat an idea of what's going on. If you look at my Letterboxd review, I even said I think this is what's going on. I think what this movie's trying to show. I'm not certain because how can I be certain? I mean, it's not the kind of movie where you're certain about what's going on. This is the kind of movie that you need to think about, and the whole movie, I was thinking about this, and I thought that I'd have to, wait till 20 minutes after, but no, while the movie was going on, I knew what it was trying to show. Here's what I'm going to say about this movie, and I know you guys may think I'm crazy or whatever, but I think that the movie is real until we get to when, Mary reveals that it is his child. I think after that, the whole movie is a fantasy sequence of him thinking of his worst nightmare, and let me explain why I think this. Yes, I think her parents being crazy, I think that's real, and I think her family really is crazy. It's really showing how depressing his life is. he's the kind of man that I don't think is ready to be a father, and he knows that he's not ready to be a father. So he's worried that he's going to have a terrible child, and he's worried that because of the man he is, that he caused his child this pain and this sorrow. That is why the child is a lizard. That is why the child is so unattractive. That is why the baby won't stop crying. It's his worst fears of what can happen. The baby crying, that's symbolizing what he doesn't want to happen. He doesn't want to have a baby that's continuously crying. He doesn't want to have a baby that's and I think the reason the baby's continuously crying is because he doesn't even know if he's going to even be able to provide for this baby. Because I don't know if he wants to even. And he didn't think that he'd ever have to go through this, and I think that's really what that's trying to show. And her leaving him, he's worried that she's going to leave him because she's going to realize that he's not ready to be a father. I think that's really what that's trying to show. And I think that's really interesting overall, and we're seeing that. And I think just all of it is just him with these constant, things of why I don't want to be a father, and I don't think I can be a father. Now, you guys may be saying, I know what you guys are saying. How does him turning into a pencil with, him basically getting his head cut off and then basically being turned into a eraser, how does that go with any of this? Well, let me explain this to you. When we have dreams, okay, let me explain to you something, guys. Tell me dreams that you've had. You cannot tell me that you've ever had a dream that actually makes sense. Dreams that we have, they don't make sense, and that is why he has these fucked up dreams, because they don't make sense. I've had dreams that make no sense whatsoever, and they don't have anything to do with what's going on. But the whole movie, I feel, is just his fears and worries. So when he falls asleep, he has these really weird dreams, and again, they don't make sense. And the reason they don't go with the rest of the movie is because he's dreaming about it, and he's thinking about it, and he's just thinking of the worst things that can happen. Him getting his head chopped off and then turning into a eraser, no, it does not have to do with him being worried about being a father. It does have to do with his greatest fears, though. I mean, we all get worried that we're going to face death one day. We always get worried about that. And I think he is getting worried about that. I think, Henry is someone that was getting worried about that he's one day going to face his imminent death. And let's talk about the song. Something I definitely want to talk about is the song that the Lady in the Radiator sings. I think the Lady in the Radiator is actually his sign of relief. I think she is the thing that gets him to think, what am I thinking, and basically get him to calm down, because let's talk about the end of the movie, of course. When she sings that song to him about heaven and everything, that's him seeing that maybe there can be something good. Maybe I can move on in my life. Maybe this isn't as bad as I think it's going to be. And when we see the child, and we see that the child has no skin, again, that's showing that he thinks something wrong is going to happen to the baby because of how messed up he thinks he really is, and how ready and how not ready he is to have a child. And then the end of the movie where we see that this is all in his head, and then the eraser cloud. I think the reason that's an eraser cloud is because he is erasing all those bad memories, and him going into that white light is showing him getting that peace. Him hugging the Lady in the Radiator, that is him overcoming all the fear he has and realizing that this is not going to be as bad as he thinks it is. This could end up being a lot better. It could be a much more smoother transition as long as he calms down and getting all of that out of his head. He needs to get all of that out of his head. He needed to stop thinking about it, and now he can move on with his life and take care of this child. And I really think that's what the end of the movie shows. And the reason the movie just cuts to black is because that's it. He's done thinking about his fear. He's happy now. We don't need to see him reflect anymore. We don't need to see anything else because we know that he's going to be okay. We know he's going to be able to care for this child as long as he gets rid of all that fear. And the Lady in the Radiator is going to help him get rid of that fear. And why do I think she's called the Lady in the Radiator? Because the Radiator, okay, this is going to be kind of weird, though, and I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I'm just trying to think here, okay? Remember, guys, I'm just thinking about this, okay? I'm not 100% sure about any of this, but I'm thinking about this. Radiators are warm, right? There's fire in them. They're warm. Well, the warmth of the fire is the warmth of his heart, him calming himself down. That's sort of like his coping mechanism. Her singing to him. It's really soothing. It's a really soothing song, and that's him just getting over all the fear he has of becoming a father, and he's realizing that he has nothing to fear. And that's why that's why the dreams get so fucked up, because he's thinking, what the hell am I thinking? This is so ridiculous. And that look that he gives at the end of the movie is just him thinking, what the hell am I thinking? And the eraser cloud is him erasing all of the bad memories, and now he's going to be able to become a father. So that's basically my analysis for Eraserhead. That's really what I think is going on in the movie. The reason I think the movie's called Eraserhead is because he's erasing all of the tension in his head, all of the drama in his head to get ready to become a father, and I think that's awesome. And one of the things I love about the movie is that David Lynch, to this day, if you were to go up to David Lynch and ask him about this movie, he's not going to give you an answer. He's going to say, watch the movie, think about it for yourself. And I think that's awesome because there's no specific answer. I don't even think David Lynch knows. I think that this movie is your own interpretation. I really think it's one of those kind of movies where it's whatever you guys think. Me watching a movie, that's what I was thinking, because the whole movie's, it just seems like everything gets weirder after she says that she's going to have a child, because before then, the movie's kind of normal. I mean, yeah, he's not living the best life or anything, but it's still not weird. It's weird after she says, I'm having a child. Then I think the movie, that's what I think is really going on there. But what do you guys think? Am I completely wrong with this? I think I'm somewhat right. I don't know. But what do you guys think of this movie? You have seen it. I mean, I know that I'm very happy I watched it. Honestly, I'm very happy to watch it. I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't know what was going to happen when I popped in this thing. I'm like, I didn't even, get the DVD or anything. I saw this on TV. I recorded. I'm like, I am watching this. I'm watching this. I need to finally get over all of what I've thought of. I need to finally watch this and see if it's actually as weird as I think it's going to be. And yeah, probably is the weirdest movie I've ever seen in my life. But just like I said, our dreams are weird, and what we think about are weird. Everything like that is weird, and that's really what this movie's trying to represent. It's trying to present how weird our thoughts are, and how weird our dreams are, and once we get over all that, then our life becomes normal again, and that's why that's what the white light represents, is the normalness in his life, and I think that's really what the movie's trying to show. But that's basically this review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope that analysis somewhat made sense. I know it might not make any sense, but I hope it does. It's really in your own interpretation, guys. You guys agree what I'm saying? I really don't know. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review. No, it will not be for Vampire Diaries, because I'm not watching it live. I told you guys, I don't really care about that show as much anymore. So I'm going to watch a classic movie or the Vampire Diaries. I really don't care, because I'm really loving these classic movie reviews, and I want to do that. So I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.